thing I also wanted to mention is that don't rely on Google reviews to give you an indicator of how good or how not so good the hospital is, because in my honest opinion, a lot of those Google reviews, not just for hospitals but for a lot of businesses in general, a lot of them are fake. I've seen some Google reviews in the hospitals as 5-star, 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 and you go and you're like, what the heck? I've seen some reviews where the hospital is like 1-star, 2-star, 3-star. Well, okay, maybe that's an exaggeration. But I've seen some, reviews, and I've heard some people say, oh, this hospital isn't great. And then you go there and you're like, wow, this is actually really good. I remember one of my nursing placements, it was a massive rumor that this hospital was really bad. And maybe like 2-3 years ago, the hospital was really bad. But when I went there for my placement, I can say it was probably one of the most comprehensive placements in terms of what they did, how they did it, nursing numbers. And that's probably because they were really bad in the past. They did a massive review, they did a massive rejig of things, and now things have changed. So don't let people tell you, oh my gosh, this place was really bad. If they do say that, how long ago was it? What other things was that person individually going through? And if at this hospital that I'm working at now, when I was telling my colleagues in my first job as a newly qualified nurse that I was moving over to this hospital, a lot of people said it was really good, and some people were like, oh my gosh, the place is horrible, that manager, they were even dropping names of managers. They're like, this manager's horrible, X, Y, and Z, don't go on this ward, blah, 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 this is really bad, this is really bad. And that might have been the case 3-4 years ago, but now that I've been here now, my experience is not the same as their experience. So don't let somebody else's experience have such a heavy, deep impact on you. Sometimes you kind of have to experience it for yourself. I'm not saying ignore what other people are saying. Listen to what they're saying, take it into account, weigh up the benefits and cons, and have your experience. You kind of can't, but experience it for yourself. Things change. I see it in the hospital that I'm in now, and I see it in the hospital that I worked at before. Just because someone says it's good doesn't mean it's always going to be good. Just because someone says that this hospital or this ward is really good doesn't mean it's going to be good forever. Let me just quickly check my phone because I made a bit of notes. Oh, there are a couple more stuff actually that I want to talk about. Yes. Look for the quality of practice educators, not just the ward. When going for your interview, ask them how many practice educators do they have per ward. If the answer is none, then you have your answer. If they can't come back to you with an answer, then you also have your answer. Practice educators make such a massive difference, not just when transitioning, but also when starting a new role, especially when the ward is a very busy environment. Senior nurses aren't always there to help you. This isn't placement anymore. You can't just spontaneously go up with the nursing specialist and do so and so to learn different types of things. And yes, like I said, when choosing your nursing speciality, don't just say, oh, I want to do renal nursing. This hospital's really good at renal nursing apparently, or this hospital has a specialist renal ward, let me go there. No, just because they kind of meet the criteria doesn't mean it's going to be good. You need to look at the quality of their practice educators. Practice educators make such a massive difference. Now in my new role, well, it's not really a new role, but now I've been in this new job for approximately 1 year. There's one practice educator for every single ward, and I can tell you that makes such a massive difference in terms of your learning. Because think about it, when choosing your nursing speciality, you want to choose somewhere that you enjoy, but you also want to choose somewhere that you'll be supported, and practice educators make such a massive difference. You need to get out of the mentality of thinking, oh, this is placement, I can just hop along with this nurse is always going to be there to guide me. No, this isn't a game anymore. Not that your nursing degree was a game, but this is real life. Look at the quality of the practice educators. Please, 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 if you haven't already been through your interviews, when you go for your interview, if they say, do you have any questions? One question you can ask them is, how many practice educators do you have in this hospital? Are they working full-time or part-time? If they say they don't have any practice educators, then honestly, you know your answer. Just from what I've experienced, if I was to move into a new hospital, if I know that they don't have any practice educators or they don't have enough practice educators, I probably won't work in that hospital. And it's not even just down for me in terms of, oh, like I want the practice educator to help me and I want the practice educator to be there to support me, but it's not just for me, it's also for the other people that I'm working with. And I've seen this so blatantly in my new role. Like, I know in my first job as a newly qualified nurse, there weren't that many, there were barely any, there weren't that many practice educators, and it meant that when new nurses started, there was so much pressure on me. Even though I was a newly qualified nurse, there were other nurses who started after me, and because there weren't that many practice educators, because we were, you know, really understaffed in terms of how many nurses there were, so much pressure was placed on myself, because I was like 3 months into the nursing game, 4 months into the nursing game, and I had another newly qualified nurse who had a bit less experience than I did, that I had to mentor. And now I'm in this role that I've been in for a year, and there are other nurses that have joined after me, and yes, I'm still there to guide them, but because there's a practice educator on that ward, it makes such a massive difference to my nursing experience, and it also makes such a massive difference to their nursing experience. So whether you're a newly qualified nurse or not, whether you're like myself and you've been a nurse for a year, you've been a nurse for like a year and a half, and you're thinking of moving into a new role, look at the quality of the practice educators, because that is just so important. Yes, I'm so happy I looked on my phone and included that into this video. Yes, look at the quality of the practice educators. Look at the quality of the hospital as a whole. Don't just think, oh, I want to specialise in renal care. This hospital has a renal ward. I'm going to go there now. No. How many practice educators do they have? What is their nurse turnover? What is the nurse-patient ratio? How many wards do they have in that bed? Are you expected to work on different wards, or is this going to be your permanent ward? But just make sure you do your due diligence. And if you do find yourself in a position where you're like, oh, this hospital isn't great, don't just pinpoint it at the hospital. You need to kind of pinpoint things at yourself, because it might not be that the hospital isn't great, it could be that, but it also could be you. Like, are you doing what you said you were going to do? This is a contract that you signed. Like, they signed the contract and you signed the contract. So don't just be so easy to be like, oh, I've been here for 3 months, I absolutely hate it. I hate it because of X, Y, and Z. Look at yourself as well. Do some sort of self-evaluation as well. And if you've done some sort of self-evaluation and you're still like, okay, this place is crazy, then you need to leave. Because sometimes it literally is just, this place is crazy. Or sometimes it could literally just be because you're crazy, or sometimes it could be a combination of the two. So yeah, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Make sure you do your due diligence, and don't think because, oh, I want to be a renal nurse, I'm going to do this now. Don't think you can't backtrack, and don't think you can't explore different types of nursing. Like, nursing is such a broad field. There are so many nursing vacancies. If you come here and you're like, oh, I don't really like this, or oh, I do like this, now I want to explore something different, then there's always somewhere else you can go to, or somewhere else you can go to. Anyway, I hope you guys like this video. Again, give this video a like, subscribe, comment in the comments box below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.